Poor guy's talking to me on the phone the other day, and he's like, I got this really great idea. And I was like, that's a great idea. We shouldn't do it.
So you caught me right in the middle swallow.
I was literally just like, he was like, I've got this great idea. And I was all like, fuck your great idea. It is great, though. We should do it, but we shouldn't. That hurt. I went back and forth on it. But as I was telling Jeff, that was the same day I was having like the day from hell. Like, dude, I was at U City forever after, like, oh my God. Like, I was like Ash in the cabin.
Well, if you were in U City, were you there to, were you there whenever that crazy lady tweeted about, or no message on Facebook about she hopes that Donald Trump gets assassinated?
No, I didn't. I mean,
I don't care where you're at on the political spectrum. That's just fucking stupid.
And if you know the importance of aerodynamics, then you are ready for this episode of Discography Discussion. I am Joe. That is Dan. That is Jeff. That is the Doomhammer. Buddy, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going?
You know me, just, shooting down politics and shooting up beer.
Oh, yep, And I'm drinking LaCroix because I'm being a hipster like that.
Way to be a hipster about it.
Well, we got Heineken, so we're like halfway hipster. We're like old school hipsters.
Yeah, you're pretty much just drinking water.
Yeah, we think that we're still hipsters, but since we're drinking Heineken, we're obviously not hipsters.
And we're old as all hell. I mean...
Yeah, because 10 years ago, if you're drinking Heineken, you were a fucking hipster.
Well, if we weren't old, we wouldn't be listening to doom metal.
Is that what we were listening to this week? Was doom metal?
Oh yes.
No, we're listening to it because this band's fucking awesome.
Yes,
right, buddy?
Yeah, this band is sick. Swallow the Sun, which thematically, kind of fits this week since, well, at the time we're recording this, tomorrow is the solar eclipse.
The world's going to end. Oh my God, the world's going to end.
Yeah, I had the best. I actually had a decent idea for a change. I know that doesn't happen very often.
I wanted to talk about Sepultura, but you guys were like, no, listen to 19 hours of crushing doom metal in a horrible week. And I was like, oh, great, yeah.
Dude, I was texting Dan because I had a shitty week. And I'm like, man, this is actually kind of maybe even though thematically it fits, I was like, this was a dumb idea because I didn't have a very good week. And I'm like texting Dan for 2 hours. And
we could be talking about Roots, Bloody Roots right now. And,
That would be the last year of my life.
And we're not.
And instead, we're talking about the bleakest sounds, ever put to tape. I mean, I'm not going to quote that, but it's pretty bleak.
It's bleak.
It's up there, but it's not...
It's not the bleakest. I've heard.
Yeah, there's
doomier. This is not funeral doom.
Yeah, there's way too much beauty.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Way too much beauty in this. It's still very beautiful.
Before we start talking about how beautiful everything is, I'm going to go ahead and take the time to say thank you to everyone who listens to this podcast. Thank you for listening and thank you for subscribing. If you are not a subscriber, you can find everything Discography Discussion at discussmetal.com. We are on Google Play. We are on iTunes. We are on Stitcher. We are on TuneIn Radio. So if you have an Amazon Echo product, you can say to it, Alexa, play the latest episode of Discography Discussion, and she will. We're also on Facebook and on Twitter at Discuss Metal. Be sure to like, favorite, and subscribe. It really helps us out and lets us know you're listening. And Dan's about to tell you about the importance of 5-star reviews.
5-star reviews are great. We got another one this week. It's amazing. I actually don't have it pulled up right now, but it was something about how me and Joe are awesome and Jeff sucks.
Sweet.
Is that a quote?
It's a good thing I don't have a gag reflex then.
Well, it's the second review we've gotten that's referred to the cast of the show as Dan and Joe and friends.
How does it feel to be you, buddy?
Which, it encompasses Buddy and Jeff very well.
Michael Keaton used to be a friend.
Jeff's not even on the business
Mr. Rogers'
cards.
Neighborhood. No, I'm not. Yeah, you guys had those printed out before I became a permanent fixture.
All right.
Quasi-permanent.
So I got it pulled
up
up
here. I'm only here sometimes, so makes sense.
This is from @DoorGuy. Solid from the start. These guys are a great listen. They keep my interest, even with bands I've never heard of. Then, I have the pleasure of listening to said band and feel like I'm part of the experience. For a young podcast, Dan and Joe and cast have hit a groove that really works. Each member has a unique point of view to bring to the table of ideas. Oh yeah, it's pleasing to listen to as well. No crappy webcam mics or poor audio quality. The hard work on the production really shows. In all, this is a great listen every week.
Did you write that, Joe?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
I was going to say, it sounds like Joe wrote that.
I'm not going to say I didn't write it, but I will not say that I did write it.
If at Door Guy is not Joe, send us a message on Facebook to prove it.
Well, speaking of Facebook, we got one on Facebook too. Can you read this?
What?
We got a Facebook post also.
I can't. I'm squinting. I can't
that's
even
way too
see
tiny.
that.
That's blind even for me. So here we go.
Wow,
well, hold on. Give me a second.
Yeah, you read it, Joe.
No, I can do it if you give me like 15 seconds.
Hey, you want to see a
I
cool trick?
wasn't exactly prepared for the trick questions.
I wasn't completely prepared for this episode.
Right here, Jeff.
Okay, I got it. All right, it says, Ew!
Let's see if he gets it right.
Schemin' Reemin'.
Fuck you.
Checking in here. Or Shyman Ryman. Thanks for the shout out on today's pod. And just for future, it's pronounced Schemin' Reemin', like scheming. Cheers, guys.
And that's from Joey Ryman.
I thought for sure.
I was trying to get it through there.
I thought for sure that like it was going to end with, and from now on, it's Schemin' Reemin'. Fucker. Like I thought that's
well, at least you're not collectively called cast.
right. Well, we appreciate you
calling everyone else cast.
Schemin' Reemin'. You're the man. We appreciate the review that you gave us, and
for future reference, Buddy is to be referred to as the Doomhammer. For those that don't know, and those that do know, whatever you say,
got it.
Douche nozzle,
the douche hammer, the douche canoe.
He's the most aerodynamic man on the planet. Just saying.
Used to be. I don't shave my head anymore.
Buddy, tell me all about Swallow the Sun.
Ooh, okay. Well, Jeff, you're going to have to back me up on this because, man, there's like no info on these guys on Wikipedia. But they're basically a Finnish doom band.
A finished doom band?
Finnish. As in from Finland?
Yeah,
oh, my bad. My bad.
Finnish. And so I discovered these guys, I think around when their 6th album came out. Maybe it was their 5th.
Latecomer. Okay.
And so it was late in the career that I found it because I think it was when Emerald Forest and the Blackbird came out, which is their second to last album that they've put out. And I never really like paid attention to like lyrics or anything, but they just put out this really great set of albums that are just, awesome doom metal that is really atmospheric because they integrate a keyboard into everything, and they don't feel like they always have to be soul crushingly heavy because they have this soul crushing atmosphere that they can bring down with it.
Yeah, I think you just hit on my favorite word when it comes to metal, and that's atmospheric.
I thought it was going to be soul crushing.
No, it's totally atmospheric. I mean, it's whether it's these guys, you go all the way to the other end of the spectrum with the Contortionists. It's the exact same thing. I gotta have that almost like that wall of sound. I don't want to be able. I don't like being able to pick every individual thing out like simply. I mean, I gotta have layers. I think that's really important. I don't know what it is. I've always been that way with music. I'd like to be able to peel it back and break it down. So I think it makes music more listenable sometimes, because whenever you start focusing on like a particular instrument or phrasing or things of that nature, it seems like you always find something new, whenever you go back and listen to it again. And with the other thing that's great about atmospheric music, and I think Buddy will probably agree with me on this, is that you can totally crank it up in the background and just go about your day, and it just makes your day go by better. I don't know what it is, but man, if you got something with atmosphere, it just fills all the empty voids, especially, or calms you down whenever you're at work. Because this is a great band for work.
And Dan is about to give a symposium on soul-crushing doom metal.
Well,
I stole Buddy's thing because he says he listens to it at work, but I do too. So we're of the same mind when it comes to that.
This is not soul-crushing, really, to me. Maybe on the first record.
There's definitely parts.
Yeah, I mean, it's, it's well growled, it's heavy, but there are doom bands out there. The first doom band I ever heard was a band called Paramecium, and that is like literally like 1,000 pounds of soul-crushing doom, and it's not like nearly as good as this, but
Yeah, I was gonna say there's also such a thing as soul-crushing monotony.
This band is really good. I will talk about some lyrical stuff here in a little bit, but for the most part. This band is extremely solid as far as their atmosphere goes, and they really do a good job. Like, because a lot of doom bands, like Buddy said, they kind of focus more on like crushing instrumentation. And this is not really like that. I think the death metal is here, but it's natural. It's more of a natural continuation to their sound versus being the sole focus, and I think that's what separates them from a Paramecium or a My Dying Bride or something of that nature.
Yeah, I totally agree. Because when you listen to their catalog, from beginning to end, like toward the beginning, they're definitely more in that. We're super heavy. We growl our vocals and everything.
Well, we sing. Oh my God, we sing. We play keyboards.
Yeah, they mix in some slow stuff in there, But then as they get further down the line, they even start writing songs where they're almost acoustic, in a couple of like on Emerald Forest. There's This Cut Was the Deepest, which is not even heavy at all, but it's
but it's still great.
Yeah, it's amazing. And they also start bringing in like black metal vocals, female singers, spoken word type, vocals, and the way that they put together their music is very, trying to convey the atmosphere that they're trying to put forth. And I feel like they do it extremely well, because I always have such a great time listening to it, no matter which album I put on.
They do. This is not like some second tier band like Callisto was. This is pretty high quality stuff. And to be honest with you, I was really surprised that the band isn't more popular than they are. Typically when we're talking about bands like this, it's easy to gravitate more towards like a Paradise Lost or an Amorphous, or even there's even a little bit of similarity to old Opeth in there.
I was about to throw out Opeth.
That I hear a little bit of old Opeth, a little bit of old Catatonia. That sort of sound, like the predominantly growled vocal with clean vocal mixed in. All of that is kind of the modern doom metal aesthetic, and this band pulls it off extremely well. I definitely found myself engaged for the most part, as hard as it is to cram like 7 doom metal albums in a week. I did get through it for the most part, and was actually, sometimes this feels like work listening to a band, like if they're not good, Ghost, and it's.
I was very happy to be in somebody's car trunk for that episode.
Right? Yeah. It's okay. Josh has been turned over to the proper authorities, and I'm sure we'll never hear from Josh again. But
wink, wink, nudge, nudge,
wink, wink, nudge, nudge, say no more. But yeah, no, this band is definitely top tier as far as I'm concerned, and they definitely hit all the right notes for me. It's melodic, it's atmospheric, it's heavy, it's growled. My wife still doesn't like to listen to it in the car, and that's great. And it definitely didn't feel like work to get through it. I find myself just kind of kicking back and enjoying a lot of the time. And that's why we do this show, because if I'm not super familiar with the band, like, in full disclosure, so like we definitely try to present this idea that we like know every band from beginning to end, inside and out. And this show really is the result of a lot of man hours of research and just listening, like looking up the Wikipedia page and finding out who the band members are, and finding out what year every album came out. Like, that's the easy part. The hard part is actually sitting down and listening to this, from beginning to end. And if the band's good, then it's like, oh, great. But if they're not as good, then it can be a little rough. Luckily with Swallow the Sun, we really didn't have too much of a problem. Although I will take issue with their latest release, but we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, we will.
And let's start this off with 2003's The Morning Never Came.
It's like the perfect name for a doom metal album.
Right.
I mean,
yeah, you can't beat that.
Come on.
So guys, I got this great idea for a band, okay? We're going to be called Swallow the Sun, and the album is going to be called The Morning Never Came. Think about it. You go to sleep, you wake up, the sun is gone.
Right, like tomorrow.
So we're going to run with this, right?
In the title track, he even says, like, one night it happened. The morning never came.
Oh shit! Yeah.
I say he says that, but he actually just growled it. Yeah.
Right.
But the whole thematic idea behind that is cool.
It's really hard for me to say anything about this type of music other than the musicianship is good, the songs are good, and it's very doomy.
Makes you want to, do bad things.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't necessarily feel great after listening to it, but
that's kind of
which is like the mark of a good doom metal band,
right? If you're like, maybe everything is useless, it's like perfect, and
I mean, we kind of laugh and jest at that, but if you ever. This is not the music to be listening to if you're down, and if you're down, don't listen to this, and then talk to somebody.
This is the album that you listen to when the sun is going to disappear for a few hours tomorrow.
I know. Me and Jeff were talking about like our personal problems the whole week because like I think it was like a result of this because
seriously
we were just like really down and out about a lot of different stuff. And,
we totally had to have pick-me-ups because we didn't have the greatest of weeks. Neither one of us did, and then we're like listening to this and we're like. Fuck, life sucks. And
why are you even doing this? Yeah,
they were like, all right, we gotta like talk this out because
quit the show, take down the website, it's over.
No, not that.
What does that say about me? Because this was like one of the best weeks ever.
Yeah, Buddy's one of the weird. Buddy's one of the weird people in the world that listens to depressing shit and feels really good afterwards, which I think probably says something about his character, about him being pure evil.
Maybe.
Yeah, like
nobody's gonna get him down. Nobody's gonna slow his stride.
I wear too much of a smile on my face. It's like plastered.
Let's talk about this record.
All right, let's see if anybody gets that reference that I just did.
Well, so this record was this is probably my favorite of theirs, just because it's the one I'm the most familiar with. It was the first one that I'd heard. I had it several years ago. I picked it up in a dollar bin because that's my jam. And
man, really, whoever got rid of that to make it in the dollar bin is stupid. Sorry.
Yeah, well, I mean, their loss was my gain, or maybe
absolutely,
maybe they didn't make it through this album. I'm not sure, but but yeah, definitely, I picked it up for $1. I had no complaints. I was really not even that into doom metal at the time, but I really enjoyed the melodic nature of the music. And what's really weird about this album is that it's kind of the band in their most basic form. Because they would branch out later and go in a few different directions that really kind of solidified their sound, and it wasn't like an experimentation. They still always maintained this basic sound. But on this first record, all the elements are there. You've got the keyboards, you've got the crushing guitar riffs, you've got the guttural death metal vocals, and I think there's a little bit of singing in there, but it's not really the focus at this point.
Yeah, I don't remember much at all if there was any, but some of it kind of runs together a little bit. Yeah,
there's a little bit, but I think it was more for the atmosphere. It was kind of like the icing on the cake.
Right.
It wasn't the first and foremost thought. But I don't think a ton of clean singing would have fit well on this particular album.
Not with a lot of the lyrical themes, which are like completely fucked up if you don't know.
And what you got to do to find out?
About some girl dead, dying, or he is killing her.
At the very least, the first 2 songs are about fucking a dead girl. That we can be sure of. But but beyond that, and again, it's all very well. Like, it's one of those like, yeah, okay, he's fucking a dead girl, but God, does he have a really good grasp of the language that he's using? So it's it's kind of like, just because he's a bad guy doesn't mean he's a bad guy.
Just because I'm a bad person doesn't mean I'm not illiterate.
Right. So
he's a good person doing bad things. Is that
sure? We'll go with that, I guess. I mean, it's hard with doom metal.
Just because I do bad things doesn't mean I'm a bad guy.
So it's hard to take doom metal lyrics seriously sometimes because, like, yeah, there's the despair, the isolation, the loss, all that good stuff. Like, all the stuff that makes the monster, right? Like, all the stuff that makes this guy that's doing these horrible things, like, kind of seem like, not necessarily that we condone it, but we're like, yeah, I get it. I get why he was fucking that dead girl in the woods, like, and
he's explained it thoroughly.
He's explained it very well.
Yes, he has.
However, so I think that's really the only black mark I really give this record. because they definitely got better about it later on. But I mean, this first record, the lyrics are not really the focus, I think, as much as the atmosphere. Like it just seemed like some of the more violent, like evil lyrics or whatever were kind of there more to just add to like the dark mood or whatever. Like I don't detect a whole lot of sincerity in it. I think it was
there for the shock value kind of thing.
Hey, dude, we're writing super evil sounding music, so let's put some super evil sounding lyrics on it. Like
let's talk about fucked up sounding shit. Yeah,
sure, yeah.
I mean, I get it. I mean, I think that's kind of like a hallmark for doom metal in general. I mean, it's not just these guys. I mean, we're metalheads. We get it. So it's not like it's not like it's something that's shocking, but you kind of
they've come up with some kind of theme and they're trying to stick to it.
Yeah, well, there's all the way through. Emerald Forest. I mean, there's kind of like I know, like at least maybe not on this one, but on the next three, there's like a whole thematic run through of all of those. There's a story that runs through all of it. So I think it's called like the horror series.
Do you guys want me to read some of them?
Yeah, I don't think we have a choice. The way you said that,
horror part 1, I think, on this one.
So yes, okay. So it does start on this one. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so the album starts off with a song called "Her Silvery Body." And the lyrics go... I'm not going to read like all the lyrics, but...
You're going to give us a teaser?
Very interesting. So, through her silvery body, grazing scars, her skin enchants me towards the doom... Sorry.
Of spring.
Towards the doom of spring. So, I find her in milk white light in this silver frosted night. I place you... in coffin moonlight. I don't even know what the hell that means, but like, oh my god, is it so fucking doom metal?
I'm spooky now.
And don't get me wrong, I like these lyrics. Usually whenever I read lyrics, I don't like them. But in this particular case, it's great. And so he goes on and on and on about how he's haunted by her touch, and you'll save my fear from this shame. Well, what are you doing in the woods with this dead body that's shameful? Well, we'll talk about that in the next song, which is called Deadly Nightshade. And so I'm just going to skip down to the end here. So, invite me to her ecstatic flame. Over and over again, her bed is covered in dirt and leaves, and she's burning down on her knees. Midnight's cruel for a lonely girl, and she's getting wet from this feverish wraith. I mean, damn.
That's some stuff there, man.
I don't even know what to say. He's fucking a dead girl in the woods, like that's happening in this song, in this moment in time. That is what's going on. So that's the news today.
All right, final thoughts on this record.
Right. No. So, but no, this is good. This is a good record, though. Like, don't let that really
deter you.
I mean, because this is this is a real person struggling here, man. This is there's so many lyrics on this record that are about pain, isolation, loss. And so you kind of get it, right? Like it's not like your triumphant metal record where like the golden locked hero is slaying the dragon, or anything like that. Like elves are fighting with bowcasters and shit. This is like this guy is the dragon. And we're gonna find out a little bit more about him as we go on, and I really like the lyrics on this record because I think they really complemented the sound of the band, and albeit maybe stupid and unbelievable at times, but man, that vocal delivery is spot on. Like
he's got a really deep guttural growl.
He's got a really good guttural death metal growl, mixed with some black metal shrieks in there, because you can't really achieve true evil unless you can pull out the insane black metal shriek.
I don't know, dude. Ghost is pretty evil.
Anyway, he's
corporate greed evil.
I got nothing to say about that.
No, seriously, it's corporate greed evil.
We get it, Tobias. You're evil, dude. Whatever. Anyway, so Yeah, this first record really is great. The version of it that I have actually has a copy of version of Solitude by Candlemass, which if you're a doom metal person, you'll know that that's one of the very first doom metal songs ever written, and they do a really good cover of it. It's kind of nice hearing that song with the death doom, the death doom sound. I really enjoyed that a lot, and I was really happy. It kind of really made me smile. It's the only thing that made me smile on this record.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as weird as it sounds, that it's even though with it being a cover, because I'm normally not a cover guy at all. It's probably my favorite song on this.
Really?
Yeah, seriously.
So you like Candlemass?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, totally.
Man,
fine.
I haven't heard that song because the copy I have doesn't have that one.
Well,
dude,
Solitude
really
is
good.
one of the first doom metal songs ever written, and it's on Candlemass's debut record, Epicus Doomicus Metallicus.
Yeah, I think I've heard Solitude before.
Yeah,
a long time,
dude, it's
but
so
I've not
good.
heard
I
the cover here.
definitely like some of the later Candlemass records first, but that record is an all-time classic. It's just not death doom, that the whole death doom thing wasn't a thing yet.
Yeah.
Final thoughts on this album, or can we just move right on along?
Oh, we can move on. I mean, that's fine. If you don't like soul-crushing doom, that's fine, dude.
Well, I mean, we're just going to get more and more soul-crushing doom.
Yes, we are.
2005, Ghosts of Loss. I have not listened to this one because it was not available to me.
It's on YouTube.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't just going to say it, but here it is.
Okay, there you go, bro.
Yeah.
So this one, they didn't even do, they didn't continue their horror piece here. That didn't happen until Hope, their next album. But this one, I don't know, maybe it's just because I've listened to this one the least, but I don't remember anything particularly memorable out of this one.
Yeah, this is a step back, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Sophomore
I don't remember anything.
Yeah, I think it's a sophomore slump, no question. But that's just my personal opinion. I mean, it probably has the best cover though, because there's boobies on it. But
yeah, there is a nipple visible. So if you're Jeff, you got this.
Now we don't want
dude,
Jeff
I'm still 12 years old, man. I will never grow the fuck up.
Keep in mind though, this woman looks a little weird, and she's in the woods, so you do the math.
And she's silvery of skin.
Yeah, you do the math. So
it's probably the girl from the first album.
More than likely. So
I'm just trying to figure out how they got her rigor mortis in that position. So
very carefully.
Well, yeah, because I think after rigor mortis, the limbs like lock up and stuff. So
yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I was like, wow, they posed her before it
I've
set
listened
in.
to enough Carcass to know a lot about postmortem
WD-40.
activity. Yeah, I mean, maybe.
Did you just say WD-40?
Yeah.
In case you didn't know.
They're not the
in case
fucking
you didn't
Tin
know,
Man.
yeah. So in case you didn't know, Buddy is savage as fuck.
Nice. Oh shit!
All right,
anyway.
stay on track. Stay on track.
So we got that going on. So I mean, okay. So this record was a little bit less soul crushing doom than the first, and it is a little more generic, I think, in that it sounds more like other doom metal bands of the same type.
Wholeheartedly agree.
And there is more clean singing on this one, I kind of noticed, than we had before, and that's okay. I enjoyed this more from a lyrical perspective, in that yes, the lyrics are more generic doom metal, but like that's what I'm here for. So I really thought this record really came together nicely, and yeah, it's not as good as the first record, but I think it was a really good continuation of what they had going on, regardless of whether it had an overarching story lyrically or not.
Yeah, lyrically, I thought they were writing a lot better, but musically, there just wasn't. There wasn't an advancement, in their sound. Because whenever I listen to doom metal, I tend to listen to it in the background while I'm working, like Jeff and I were talking about earlier. And there comes a point in good doom metal that I like. It will do something drastic in the music that demands my attention, and then I have to jump out and listen a little bit and see and hear what's going on. And Ghosts of Loss, I kind of just went through it and didn't even know it was over.
That's my biggest complaint about this style of metal. It's not that it's not interesting to listen to, it's that I don't remember it when I'm done. And I really want to, And this album in particular doesn't strike any chords. It's like, yeah, it's there, and now it's done, and next.
Oh, but listen to these lyrics. I mean, my God.
The lyrics are really good.
This is like pure doom metal, man.
Yeah,
Roots rip my flesh and fill my skull as worms dance around my drowning body.
100%.
Feasting for the one that has gone, but I'm arriving, closing the door, ocean floor. 7 steps from my cradle, closer to the end, with every breath. What the hell that I was made for living? I am arriving. These are really good lyrics.
Yeah, they're fucking awesome, man. They're brutal. I mean, it's depressing as shit, and I like we said, that's kind of what that's
like, I'm not gonna lie.
That's the meal we're looking for, man.
I'm not gonna lie. This almost sounds more doom than the first one. Which is
it's not Swallow the Sun.
Which is also what's wrong with it.
Right, because it's not them.
It's...
I almost feel like they had a producer or an engineer tell them, this is how you need to sound. This, and that was like the worst thing that could ever happen to them. They, Swallow the Sun is, I think when it comes to doom metal, they're a little bit more unique. They're not your typical doom metal, and that's what makes them good. Right. It's because they put their own spin on it.
Well, because doom metal in its purest form is extremely boring.
It's boring because it's generic. Because you can only do so much.
Yeah, it's melancholy. It's heavy. It's whatever. But
because if you start playing too fast, then you can't be doom metal.
Right.
Right. Let me get my beats per minute meter. Yeah. All right, guys. On this song, you guys may have actually gone a little too far here. But yeah,
I feel like somebody listened to Still Life in Blackwater Park by Opeth and said, all right, guys, so you need to sound like Opeth on this record.
Maybe. There is a lot of forced progressive elements in here, and I say really forced because, clearly the singing isn't anywhere close to the same level as, Michael Ackerfeld, and that's a problem.
Yeah. That's okay. I feel like it gets a lot better as you go on in their discography.
Oh, no question.
Sure.
Well, yeah, to a certain extent. There might be a stinker up ahead, but we'll get to that when we get to that.
Oh, do we have anything specific to say about this one, or are we just going to the next one?
It's generic.
What do you want me to say? It's doom metal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't have anything memorable.
2007, Hope.
Now we're back on track.
Yeah, it's anything but.
Dude, this is fucking great.
It's anything but Hope.
I love this one. This is where they start continuing their horror series, and they do Horror Part 2, which is the track 4 called Don't Fall Asleep. And I like how this one opens because it just has that spoken word type thing going into the beginning of it. No, maybe it wasn't spoken word, it was singing. But
so I definitely with this record, I get kind of more of a gothy feel with it.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, because the first 2 records were very doom metal, and they kind of fit in their own perfect little box. I could call them doom metal, put it on my shelf in my doom metal section, and that was pretty much it. This record's a little bit more of an anomaly. The singing is obviously better than it was on the previous record, and I think with this it was more of a calculated decision to just do what they wanted.
And thank God, because it's great.
It definitely it's played extremely straight. It progresses really more from the first record than it does the second, and it sounds more like the second record we should have got from the band.
Right. It's almost like yeah.
Whereas the actual second record was somewhat safe, I guess, musically. This one is not quite as safe. There are some people I think that would listen to this and think, yeah, it's not soul-crushing doom, so I don't give a shit. There's plenty of people out there like that. But the people that are really more about the atmosphere and less the soul-crushing heaviness, which is still present here, but it is toned back a bit.
Yeah, this album has atmosphere in spades. It just the way that they utilize the keyboards, and then the changes in being heavy and then being more melancholy, utilizing the different vocal styles, of their singers. It just sounds amazing on this album.
Yeah, I almost think you as bad as it sounds, just skip Ghosts of Lost and go straight to Hope. I mean, if you're just going to be listening straight through, I mean, that's kind of what I do when I listen to it.
Well, Ghost of Lost was still...
I'm not saying it was bad. I'm just saying, like, for like a progression from album to album.
Yeah. But if you like doom metal, you're still gonna like it.
Oh yeah. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying like skip it because it's a piece of shit. I don't mean it that way. I just mean like if you're gonna put them all on and
if you're trying this band out and you're not sure you like them, don't listen to Ghost of Lost first.
Fair enough.
Is Hope the first album you should listen to then?
No, not in my opinion. It's up there. I'd say it's probably the second. But Emerald Forest and the Blackbird is probably the one I'm going to say you should listen to first. Because I think that's them at their quintessential best. I think that is the...
Okay.
I think they reached the summit with that album. That is one of the best albums ever, in my opinion. So I might be a little biased.
I'm listening to Hope. I'm enjoying it. But my review is
great.
My review of this is it's doom metal. I wish I could say more. I can't.
See, I'd say more gothic metal.
Okay.
Whoa. Genre, please here. No, it's still doom metal. I mean, for sure. But like there's a much more of a gothic atmosphere. The keyboards kind of take a much more prominent role here. Like they turned them up or something. But like, it's kind of more the keyboards are creating the atmosphere here a little bit more. They're experimenting more with a lot of different sounds.
Yeah, this is when the layering starts to hit, I think. And that's, what the keyboards, like what Buddy said, I think that, I think this is whenever they really start becoming Swallow the Sun. I mean, Hope is like the first one, it would be the first album that I'd really associate with truly their sound. So, this is really whenever when I listen to I'm like, okay, this is distinctly, Swallow the Sun and not a doom metal band. So...
Yeah, because I'd say like The Morning Never Came lyrically feels like them, and then Hope is when I feel like the music joins those lyrics.
Right. Yeah. I agreed. And I'm probably selling them short on the first album because I'm not a lyric guy. So that's my fault. And I'll be the first one to admit it.
It is your fault.
It's always my fault.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
I am. That's why this was probably not the best. Even though thematically it was a great choice for this week.
The lyrics are what I enjoyed the most.
I feel like we needed an extra week to really dissect all these albums.
Yeah, new rule on Discography Discussion. If we talk about a doom metal band, we get 2 weeks to listen to it.
Because I really wanted another pass through at these.
I listen to Emerald Forest. I listen to probably once a week, so it's probably not fair for me to say.
It's a wonder you're still alive.
Oh, I tell you what, when it's one of those albums when I need to go to sleep, dude, put that shit on and I'm out.
There you go.
And it's
Swallow
great.
the Sun, putting you to sleep since 2003.
Right.
Well, before we get to.
Yeah, I keep jumping. I'm sorry, man. I got such a hard on for that album. It's not even funny.
Well, let's get moving here. 2009,
dude,
New Moon.
I can do cock push-ups, man.
Yeah, I'm sure you can.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. New Moon was not... Oh, I was going to make a joke there. Never mind.
Wasn't really associated with the film of the same name.
Thank God.
Or the book. Sorry, I know it's a book.
It's not.
For all of our female listeners, we realized that it was also
we're not bringing it up. It's gone. It's dead. We killed it.
Okay, done.
Yeah, if you could get over the sparkly skin, it's not as bad as
I don't know, man. This is kind of gothy, a little melodramatic. I mean, thematically, it's similar. All right, he's getting out the weenie tapper, so I'm gonna step back. But yeah, it's
dude, I got balls of steel, man. I'll take it.
Anyway,
like a champ.
So, New Moon, definitely a progression. This is not the standout, like end all be all of the band. I kind of feel like they slumped a little bit, but I feel like they still progressed forward because there's a lot more like, I don't know, like higher pitched blackish screams on this, which were not like prominent on the first few records. First 3, what are we at? 4 now?
Absolutely.
4,
yeah, we're at 4 now.
Yeah. So this one was actually a little bit more energetic, I thought.
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like that this album took a step away from doom a little bit, but with that, I feel like every song on this record is extremely memorable. Because they do come into the verse, chorus, verse on a couple of things. Most, probably obvious would be the title track, New Moon. But I don't know, there's something about this record that catches me, and I really enjoy listening to this one. Because I know, Jeff really likes, Emerald Forest, but I feel like this one is also an extremely solid listen. And I have to disagree, Dan. I don't think they slumped here. I just think maybe they went a different direction, even if it wasn't necessarily Doom. It still, in my opinion, is a really great Swallow the Sun record.
I agree. I don't think it's a slump. I think there's only one.
But it's only 53 minutes long. We've saved 7 minutes because you're never getting out of a Swallow the Sun record at less than an hour.
We'll be hitting the 2 hour 33 minute.
That's one
mark
thing
eventually.
That's one thing that I immediately noticed was this one's not an hour.
This was the first time my ears perked up as I was listening to all these albums. It was The Morning Never Came, great record. Ghost of Loss, okay, whatever. Hope, okay. It's Swallow the Sun. I put on New Moon and I heard something different for the first time listening to this band. And maybe that's just shock value for, it's not more of the same. But I definitely was still kind of like, okay, it's doom metal. See, I'm not a doom metal fan, so whenever I listen to doom metal, no matter how much I try, I hear more of the same over and over and over again. And as much as the atmosphere is important, the lyrics really are important as well.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I mean, for me, I don't think, listening to doom is not something that I, sit on the couch, put on the headphones, and then just stare at the ceiling or something. I'm typically always doing something else when I'm listening to doom.
You kind of have to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can't. You can only take it in small doses. You try to sit in an evening and go through a few albums. Yeah, you're gonna cry yourself to sleep that night.
Well, that's my problem too. Is I sat down and listened to these and read the lyrics along with them as I listened to them.
Man. I mean, doom. In my opinion, doom metal lyrics are fucking rough, man.
It really, yeah.
You gotta. It's got to be an atmospheric listen, and maybe that's why I like doom metal so much, is because I don't pay attention to lyrics as much as Dan does. Not even probably 5% as compared to his 100%.
Yeah, I'd say doom. I definitely, I'm like you, Jeff. I put it in the background when I listen to doom. I don't pay attention to lyrics as much. Other stuff, like when I'm listening to hardcore or death metal, I'll probably want to know, what are they saying? But with doom, it's not quite as important for me as the atmosphere.
Well, if it's hardcore, it's about straight edge or veganism, and if it's death metal, it's about chopping up dead bodies. So there you go.
So now this one's about fucking dead bodies.
Well, the first record was about fucking dead bodies, yes, but
and we saw her on the cover of the second one.
They've moved out. They've moved on from that, though.
Yeah, they have.
This is more serious.
So we finally got through the first 4 albums and got to the 2 that we really want to talk about. Not for the same reason, I assure you.
Yeah, definitely not. This is the weirdest example of dude, I'm totally on board, and now I'm not.
So if you're
it's
a fan,
weird because I'm gonna hold it. I'm gonna wait. Wait.
You're gonna hold it? Okay.
Do your Kegels.
Yeah. 2012. Emerald Forest.
And the Blackbird.
Amazing.
Fucking awesome.
This album is killer.
This is one of my favorite albums of. I put it in my top 25.
This was the first one that I liked better than the first record. Being a metal fan predominantly, there's just something about a first record from every band that is just magical.
Right, because it's generally them.
But this is the idea fully realized.
Dude, this is Swallow the Sun. I mean, this is the embodiment of, I think, what they've been striving for a decade. This was amazing. It's a landmark album for me. This actually opened my ears more to the whole doom metal scene, because I heard this and I'm like, this is the most beautiful and haunting thing I've ever heard in my life. at the time. I mean, and that's not that long ago because this came out in 2012. Emerald Forest and the Blackbird is seriously one of my top 10 favorite songs of all time. I love this song. I play it all the fucking time. It's the reason why I play this album once a week, because I'm an album listener. So if I love a song, I got to listen to the whole thing. I'm not going to listen to just a song. It's cover to cover. There's nothing bad on this. But this first song, I mean, they set the tone. And maybe that's the problem. This is the best song on this album, in my opinion. And you got to get to track 7 before it hits in again. And I think I'm kind of hitting on something there. It's the same guest vocalist on both tracks. And she's amazing. I wish she was a full-time part of the band. I think she just... I
love when the female vocals kick in. They add a whole different layer.
They really do.
To their sound.
And I think it works so well with it. It gives that ethereal hunting quality, to an already, badass doom metal band. So if you're just going to add another layer to that, holy shit. I mean, why not? And the album art's fucking awesome too. I was trying to get this in I texted Dan earlier because I want to buy this tee so fucking bad, and I can't find it anywhere in my size. I mean, I want to get it from their official merch store, but unless I want to buy like a 3XL, I can't get it, or a small. I think that's
perfect
the only
for me.
The small or the 3XL?
3XL for sure.
So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I was telling him, like, I was like looking for all of these like great T-shirts. I can't get them in my size, and I'm just a large, and I guess that's the problem. I hit 5 years too late on wanting to buy the tee, but tell you what, man, you can't get any better than this. This from the spoken word to the crazy vocals to having the female vocals to the atmosphere, it's got it all. I mean,
this is some top tier doom metal right here.
Yeah, it's as good as it gets, in my opinion.
Yeah. Man, if you want to hear some of the really great spoken word vocals, track 9, April 14th.
Oh, that was really fucking good too. I don't know who that dude is that they got to come in to do the spoken word, but dude, that's some great shit.
Yeah, it's so good. Just the way, like, they must be putting some kind of reverb or something on him, or that dude is just a beast. I don't know.
Yeah, or he's just terrified to talk about
great.
Like when he calls the cable company, he's like, I want to talk about my bill. It's like, you're like, okay, hold on. We're just going to transfer him right to supervisor. Yeah.
It's like, I wonder what his kids are like, like when he reads a bedtime story to them. The 3 little pigs. Like, I can't even get even remotely that low.
Yeah, his daughter's probably fucking Wednesday from the Addams Family.
Puff. I'm going to blow your house down. No, this is not about the girl in the woods.
And we've come full circle. Jeff, you hit the nail on the head.
Well, that song is just so evil sounding at the beginning anyway. Like, ugh.
It's got its epicness going on here. And for anybody that doesn't know, the guitarist in this band was the same guy that did a lot of the arrangement for Nightwish. So a lot of the epic symphonicness that you get, that's kind of right in his wheelhouse.
Yeah, and this is actually the last album with him.
Really?
Oh, yeah, really?
Yeah, he actually left after this album. That's when he joined Nightwish, was after this.
It shows.
Yeah.
And Dan is getting us ready for the last one here. I mean, Emerald Forest and the Blackbird, Jeff, you said pretty much anything I could say. This is where they found their foot. This is where they found their sound. This is the album I would give you if you wanted to listen to doom metal first. What is doom metal, Joe? I would not give you Opeth. I would give you this.
Yeah, this is seriously in my opinion, the best doom album ever.
When we decided to talk about Swallow the Sun, I really just wanted to listen to this one, but I knew I had to listen to the rest. And again, it's doom metal, so there's not much more I can say about it other than that. It's really, really good doom metal. It's heavy. It's epic. It's terrifying.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing for me. Sure, doom metal's always known for their lyrics, to set the stage, with how haunting it is or how scary it is. I think with this album, they do such a great job setting it with just the atmosphere. So if you're somebody like me or Buddy who puts it on in the background, there's so many things on this album that catch your attention and pull you in. And I can't listen to this one at work because it takes me away from work way too much. The other thing I really like about this is that they do a whole lot of vocal harmonies. And I think it's the first time they really focused on that. If you ask anybody, anybody who knows me, they'll tell you, you want me to get a hard on the vocal harmonies, do it every fucking time. Man, I love it. It's the under vocals on this that really do it for me. It's hauntingly beautiful.
I think what always gets a couple of chuckles out of my friends is that I'll be at work and I'll be listening to, like this album in particular. I just did it this week. I'd be sitting there listening, and there's just some parts you just have to, headbang, air drum, stop what you're doing, and so I'll just get into it and just start air drumming. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Oh, nothing.
Yeah, people at work, they give me grief for the opposite reason. I'm one of those, there's certain parts in this album that I, head tilt back, eyes roll back in my head, and mouth pops open. Then they're like, is there somebody underneath your desk? I'm like, no, but it's damn close to the same experience because that's how much I love this album. Nothing, enough of the innuendo. Let's go on to Songs from the North
1, 2, and 3.
2 hours and 33 minutes.
153 minutes, I believe, was the...
If the last two albums weren't doom and metal enough for you, then here you go.
Yeah, they get... As Dan put it earlier, they went a little too far up their own ass on this one, in my opinion.
Well, this is an example of a lack of quality control. These guys are extremely talented. Okay. So they have a lot of good ideas. Most people that have a lot of good ideas have a lot of bad ideas too. But the cool thing about quality control is that you can kind of hone in those good ideas
and filter out the bad.
So if you write 2 hours worth of material, you keep an hour. You don't
typically
keep 2.5 hours. This just seemed to go on for way too long. There was a lot of filler in because you have to have filler. Nobody has 2.5 hours of good material.
It started strong. I thought most of album 1 was good, and then there's parts of 2 that are okay, but unfortunately there's a lot on 2 that's
Yeah, but you get to 3 that's like total rigor mortis.
Yeah, until you get to the end of 3. Like, the last few songs on 3 are really fucking good. And I'm like, I had to wait through all of that to get to this. And I guess that's, this is probably my own fault too. Since I'm an album listener and not a track listener, this is a fucking marathon session.
Can you imagine them playing this whole thing live? Like...
Dude, I don't know. Live, I'd probably fucking love it, man. Because there's more elements to it, since I'm actually get to see them playing it. And it depends on how emotive they are when they play. I've never seen them, physically live. But a lot of times whenever you get people that are passionate about their music, and you can feed off of that, even if you're not a huge fan of the music themselves. I know it's rock and not metal, but for me, the perfect example is Lenny Kravitz. I'm not a big Lenny Kravitz guy, but holy shit, does that guy put on a fucking concert? You want to talk about being able to feed off somebody's emotion and the fact that they believe in their music.
How did we get to Lenny Kravitz?
Because we were talking about how this is hard to swallow. This is a lot to take in at one time, and I can't really sit down and listen to a Lenny Kravitz album, but until I saw him live, and then I believed it. So maybe if I saw these guys live, Songs from the North would take on a completely different persona for me, because I'd believe it then, because I saw their passion. I saw how emotive they are when they were playing it. That makes a big difference. everybody in this day and age with it being digital, everybody just goes to Spotify or Google Music or iTunes or wherever, because that's what we do. I mean, we kind of have to, so we can actually bring you this marvelous podcast. You still need to see the performance. I think that's so important, and I bet I'd actually put money on it. You see these guys live, we would probably change our tune on this triple release.
Maybe.
I don't know, dude. Listening to this record was like watching Dream Theater solo for 90 minutes.
Well, have you seen Dream Theater live?
Yes.
I saw him for about an hour live.
And we left early.
They played after Opeth and Between the Buried and Me, and after seeing Opeth, we were like, well, that's a pretty good way to end the night, so we just left.
I enjoyed Dream Theater.
I wonder, I actually have, I think, an opposite opinion from you guys, because I actually like all three of these albums. I think that they've been going better in quality since New Hope. Or, not Just New Hope. What am I talking about? New Moon. Star Wars.
It's my Salacious Crumb t-shirt that's got you going.
I think
Darth
so.
Jeff.
I don't know. Maybe it was an expectation thing, because when I saw that it was 3 albums, I assumed that there would be like instrumentals, like meandering going on, that not every track was supposed to, be something you listen to. It was supposed to be like a lot of interlude tracks, So I guess, I saw it as kind of like they weren't 3 separate albums. I saw it as a single entire whole album, but the fact that they were releasing this on CD means that they had to break it up as 1, 2, and 3. And so you've got the second album and part of the third album, which is kind of making up the middle tracks of your whole album. And a lot of times you've got a strong start on an album, it kind of dips in the middle, and then gets really good again at the end. They kind of sandwich some of the stuff.
So there's 3 acts, is what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I get that.
And I think I got this idea.
It's just like it's like it is with a movie. I mean, the Act 2 is generally kind of slowish, and that's exactly what it is with this album. I get that. I believe that.
Yeah, and I was looking around to see if maybe that they had like this was a concept album or something, because then that would have made a lot more sense to me as well. And I think what sparked this expectation in my head was there was I can't remember where they're from, but there's a blackish doom type band called Virgin Black that's out there, and they were going to release a part 1, 2, and 3 as well, and they only got to part 1 and 2, but what they were going to do was one of the albums was going to be their typical Virgin Black sound, and then they were going to go extremely heavy on another album, and those were the 2 that got released. And then the third one was supposed to be just all super soft, like piano and all that kind of stuff. And it was supposed to be, I guess you could think of like Damnation by Opeth. It was more in that very softer range. And so whenever I was thinking of Songs of the North, I'm like, oh, this is probably what they're going to do, is have this triple, style to the sound where it's going to move from one act to the other.
One thing I will say, clean vocals on this is really, really good. It's probably the best.
It is the best that they've had throughout their discography.
Agreed. But yeah, I think it's the lull in the middle. It was just too hard for me, to go through. I mean, and like I said, that's probably my fault. The fact that I want to listen to all 2.5 hours straight through and just power through it.
Yeah.
And maybe I shouldn't do that. It maybe that was the other problem too, is that it's new enough that, because the last 2.5, 3 years, I've really become more of a critical listener than what I've been in the past. And maybe that's made me a little more critical of this, because I was so excited to see that they were actually bringing this out. And so my expectations were raised, and I just don't think they quite, well, in my opinion, they didn't come close to hitting what I wanted. I think, song by song on their own, a lot of this stuff works, and it's good. I just don't think like I said, it's probably my fault for sitting there for 2 hours and 33 minutes and listening to the whole damn thing straight through. That's on me. And maybe I need to change my perspective and break it up into the 3 acts. And it's like you said, if you break it up into 3 acts, you're not breaking it up into the song portions of what album 1, 2, and 3 is. Because it doesn't flow exactly like that. I'm sure like you said, they probably did it because of CDs and minutes. But like we said, 2 and 3, there's some crossover there. Like the beginning of 3 is really more, probably should go with 2. And then, because it's like, 30, 40 minutes at the end of 3, or it's probably even less than that, because I think it's the last 3 or 4 tracks. It's totally different than what you heard on 2 in the beginning of 3.
Yeah. Because when I listen to this album, I typically, instead of album 2 being 2 track 1, I just continue the track listing. And I just treat this as a whole, album in its entirety.
Gotcha.
And so maybe that's where it's changed, for me as well. Is that I'm not thinking of it as 3 separate albums.
No, and like I said, I don't really think I think of it that way, but it's just the middle part is listening as a collective whole. It's just hard for me to get through. That's all. It slows down. It slows down a little too much for me. Is all. Yeah, I just want to listen to the beginning and the end.
Did you seriously just say that Doom was too slow for you? Come on, Jeff. It's doom metal. It's going to be slow.
Yeah, but like I said, you got to. It's generally in small portions, like an hour at a time, which is generally all that you're listening to is an hour, maybe an hour and a half. But 2.5 hours, I think, straight through. Apparently that's my ADHD kicking in, and I'm losing it loses my attention, and I end up doing something else.
It's glorious.
Because it's not like it's bad, but it's definitely it's a drop off from, and that's mainly because I think that Emerald Forest and the Blackbirds, like, they're quintessential. I mean, that was their summit, that was their peak. And I feel like this one went downhill a little bit. That's just my personal opinion. I mean, there might be other people that say, dude, you're missing the boat. And if you are one of those people and you're listening to this, write us and tell us why.
I guess I just don't have time for it.
It's like trying to sit down and listen to Ghosts by 9 Inch Nails. It's like, I don't have time.
Oh, listen to
Dude, I always got time for 9 Inch Nails.
Feedback or a loop collection.
So,
like, it's just his collection of loops he has on his MacBook or whatever. Like,
it's sexy as fuck, man.
I guess. No. Anyway.
Well, Jeff, you said something I want to explore for a second. When did you have a lead up to Swallow the Sun or Songs in the North? Like, were you aware of its existence before it had come out and you were looking forward to it?
Yeah, that was it. There was anticipation. Because seriously, it was because, Emerald Forest was such a big deal to me. I was like, holy shit. They've arrived. I'm like, I can't wait for the next fucking thing. And I'm like, and it's 3 albums? Fuck yeah. I mean, I was so stoked whenever I heard that was coming out. And it didn't fulfill what I was looking for. I like the fact that they did go outside the box, and I've said it more than once on this podcast. I'm a huge proponent of that, and I really, really like the clean singing too. That was probably the saving grace for me on this. Is I really liked how well the clean singing was on this. Yeah,
I wonder if that's another difference because, like, when even with bands I really like, I tend to, I'm really busy. I've got a lot of stuff that I do during the day and at home. I just don't have time to keep up with, news of bands and stuff. Like, I still listen to what I listen to. I still love what I listen to, so I get Swallow the Sun, listen to other stuff all the time. And then every now and then I'll get a little bit of free time and I'll go, hey, I wonder if anybody's got any new albums out. And then I'll go start searching for stuff. And that's how I found this one. And so, I had no expectation coming into it. And I wonder if that had also changed how I felt about the album.
Gotcha.
As a whole.
Yeah. When I find a band that I really like, I'll turn notifications on Facebook and all that kind of bullshit, because I do want to know, because I'm like you. I mean, we all, outside of Joe, the living the life of a bachelor, the rest of us got kiddos, and it's not like we got a shit ton of time on our hands. And so I let social media and the internet do the work for me, and I let it notify me whenever there's something to release, or there's that's how I found out about with just Jesper Strongblag, or Jesper Strongblag and Syra, or Kyra, or how you want to say it. And I was so fucking excited, and that album doesn't drop until September.
The singer of that band followed me on Twitter, and then he stopped following me.
Oh, it's probably because he heard the In Flames episode and was like, God, these guys are a bunch of cocksuckers.
Or the Pantera one, I don't know.
Speaking of Twitter, I'm going to give a shout out to Into the Combine, who says, you guys should give Ghost another chance around Halloween. Embrace the cheese. I love that band. But yeah, not for everyone.
Oh, yeah, embrace the cheese.
So if you guys don't know, Into the Combine is another metal podcast. Similar to us, they've been around longer. They're more popular. They're a great podcast. You should check them out for sure.
And I thought Halloween was about candy, not about cheese.
We got some good stuff for Halloween. So
all right, final thoughts on Swallow the Sun, Doomhammer, buddy. What you got for me?
So doom metal is probably one of my favorite genres, just because I love the atmosphere that typically goes along with doom metal. And Swallow the Sun was one of the doom metal bands that the first one that I've heard in a long time that really brought it in spades. And I love to listen to it. I've actually put certain albums on just repeat, and made entire presentations at work while listening to it. It's just one of those great bands that I can always put on in the background and just enjoy thoroughly.
Damn, I wish I worked where you work, being able to play that shit and give presentations at the same time. Holy cow, man. That's great.
Well, I don't play it. I mean, it's in my headphones, and I'm, friggin'.
Oh, you're doing it digitally. I gotcha. Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
I have customer interaction, and I can't do that stuff. No, for.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So if I do it.
I think you were calling.
I work with engineers on airplanes and shit, so they probably wonder what the fuck is he talking about.
Hey Jeff, you know how you're in an engineer's house? He'll tell you.
Oh, I live with an engineer. My wife's an engineer.
I used to install cable, so every time I'd go to an engineer's house, I'd be like, "Hi, I'm Dan. I'm here to install your cable," and I would not even ask them any real questions, and they just would throw it out there "Hey,
yeah, I'm a mechanical engineer. I'm an electrical engineer.
Just so you know, I'm an engineer."
No, and they won't tell you that they're an engineer. They will tell you what type of engineer they are.
Pretty much, yeah. I'm an electrical engineer. So I wired this house,
Hey,
already.
Hey, when you came in,
it's going to be really easy for you. Well,
yeah,
okay, great.
When you came and installed mine, it was easy.
It was.
Yeah, that's because I that's what I do for a living is cable assemblies.
Yeah, and Jeff offering me all kinds of weird favors.
Yeah, like laser discs.
Speaking of weird favors, Jeff, your final thoughts on Swallow the Sun.
One album to rule them all. Seriously, I mean, Emerald Forest and the Blackbird, I mean, I can't say it enough. I mean, if you're interested in doom metal, or you've never heard of Swallow the Sun, just buy the fucking album, man. Don't even stream it on Spotify or, Google Music. Yeah, I mean, just buy that fucker. It is that good. I promise you will not be disappointed. But as a collective whole, I mean, this is a great band. The lyrics are fucked up, which is what you want. There's tons of layers. There's haunting, melodies. I mean, it's everything you want, in one package. You can listen to them and not have to worry about listening to anybody else. I mean, they're that good. So go check them out.
I'm going to say it's doom metal. If you like doom metal, then listen to it. If you aren't sure what doom metal is, listen to Emerald Forest. Dan, what about you?
Well, I like the band. The only issue I really have with them is that, if it takes you 10 years to find your footing, don't know. But no, they're a good band, and I really enjoy doom metal. I like what they brought to the table. They're not necessarily my go-to at the moment for doom metal.
Who's your go-to?
Well, it's really weird because Buddy brought up Virgin Black, and I think Virgin Black is kind of my jam. So they're kind of what I compare most doomy gothy metal to. Even though they're not really doom metal, I think like one record that they have is doom metal, but like beyond that, everything else is like operatic, like gothy operatic stuff. And but no, this is not about Virgin Black, but no, Swallow the Sun is just one of those bands that, if you haven't heard them and you haven't given them a chance, you're definitely missing out because they bring a lot of cool stuff to the table and they don't give you necessarily the basic treatment. They don't give you the girlfriend experience, So they're definitely a good band, and I highly recommend them.
1 week from the recording of this show, we will be in Nashville, Tennessee. What will we be doing there, Dan?
Well, we're going to be at the Rockin' Pod Expo, and we're just going to show up. We're going to be hanging out. You should hang out with us. The Rockin' Pod Expo, if you didn't know, is a expo that is celebrating, I guess, like rock and metal podcasts, and there's going to actually be members of bands there to sign autographs and meet and greets and things like that. They're going to be screening the movie Heavy Metal Parking Lot with a cast reunion there. So if anybody hasn't seen that movie, it's another good reason to show up. One of the main reasons I'm showing up is because they're going to have a lot of vinyl dealers there, and I'm really excited about seeing that. And Joshua Toomey's going to be there, so that's honestly like pretty much the most motivation you need to go.
And that's going to be on August 26th. Admission is $10.
Yep, it's going to be fun.
You'll be in my hometown, so I'll actually be able to make it.
Yeah, so we'll be there if you want to hang out with us.
And on that note, this has been episode 27 of Discography Discussion. Thank you for listening. You can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at discussmetal. Subscribe to our podcast everywhere you listen to podcasts, including Google Play, iTunes, and Stitcher. Visit discussmetal.com for all things discography discussion, and please send questions and comments to danandjoeshow@gmail.com. If you are not a patron, you can become one at patreon.com/discussmetal. We have some sweet perks.
There's just one thing I want to say at the end of this podcast. So I was listening to Talk To Me this week, and they were talking about Dream Theater. And Toomey has a new co-host named John Drake, who's a big Dream Theater fan, and Toomey suggested that John Drake come on Discography Discussion sometime to talk about Dream Theater. So we would like for that to happen. So John Drake, if you are listening, we are formally requesting your presence for a Dream Theater discussion.
I'm down with that. I love Dream Theater.
There you go.
Just remember, Pantera sucks.
No, come on.